Hey guys, Steve's Retro Rewind coming back with another video. Wanted to jump on real quick here and do a ranking of my favorite Friday the 13th. Well, not my favorite Friday the 13th movies, but of the Friday the 13th franchise. Wanted to go through my listing, my ranking of my least to my favorite Friday the 13th movies. So without further ado, we'll jump on into it. Full disclosure, though, on my first one here, the bottom of my list, I didn't feel like I could put it any higher than on the bottom because it's actually the only one in the franchise that I have not watched yet, and that's going to be Jason X. This is the only one I have not seen, so I don't feel that I can put it any higher than the bottom. Once I watch it, it may go up higher, but from the clips I've seen, from what I know about the storyline, I don't foresee it going much higher, if at all, than the bottom of my list. Next on my list, as these are moving forward, the ones I've actually seen in the franchise. So bottom of my list of the movies I've actually seen is going to be Jason Goes to Hell. Really did not like the premise of this movie. It has some great folks in it, great actors. The storyline was okay, but just not very well executed. Of course, we all know at the end of this one is when Freddy pops up at the end. Well, Freddy's glove pops up at the end and grabs Jason's mask, which led to years of speculation of when we would see a Freddy versus Jason movie, which eventually came later on. But officially, bottom of my list is Jason Goes to Hell. Next, just slightly above that is going to be, I know this is going to be not really a popular opinion. It's going to be Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. As much as I love this poster, I just did not enjoy this movie. People always joked around Friday the 13th, Jason takes a boat. I like the idea of him being on the boat, the cruise ship or the ferry boat, whatever it was. I had some good kills, but the way Jason goes out at the end, I just did not enjoy it. Some good kills. The boxer, when he's going to town on Jason, and then Jason ends him with one punch. When Jason's walking down the street in supposedly Manhattan, and he kicks the radio from the punks listen to the music. It has some great scenes, but just overall as a movie, it's near the bottom. The next one on my list towards the bottom, again, is going to be an unpopular opinion, I know. That's going to be Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, or as like people like to say, Friday the 13th, Jason versus Carrie. Again, interesting premise. Some great folks in it. I just did not like the movie. It's not one of my favorites to watch. And rounding out my the bottom half of my list, is going to be, of course, Freddy versus Jason. Is this a Nightmare on Elm Street movie? Is this a Friday the 13th movie? Is it somewhere in between? I enjoy watching this movie. I've only seen it a couple of times. When it first came out, I watched it. I was not that impressed with it. I watched it years later and enjoyed it a little bit more. But just overall, it's on the bottom half of my franchise movies for Friday the 13th. Moving into the upper half, starting out, it's going to be Friday the 13th, Part 4, The Final Chapter, and Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. These are going to be like a double feature for me. They're tied. I don't think you can have one without the other, of course. The Final Chapter introduces Corey Feldman as young Tommy Jarvis, and then A New Beginning, you have Roy coming in as Jason Voorhees, becoming the killer, and at the end, we have Tommy Jarvis supposedly taking on the moniker of Jason, and he's going to become Jason. So both of these were interesting movies. I look at them almost as a part 1 and part 2. You can't have one without the other. So that's why both of these are tied. The Final Chapter and New Beginning. Next, moving into my top 4 or 5, we have Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D. And also have a copy of that, not only from the Blu-ray Scream Factory box set, but also have a copy of it on DVD. this really cool 3D effect lenticular sleeve. And this actually comes with a set of the, it originally came with 2, but when I got it on eBay, it only came with 1 set of the old school 3D glasses. The blue and green, or blue and red, rather, 3D glasses. So Friday the 13th Part 3 starts out my top tier there. Next is going to be, going back to Part 3, we all, of course, know that's where we get the classic look, or the contemporary look for Jason, where he dons the hockey mask for the first time. Next on my ranking, we're going to have Friday the 13th Part 2. This is where we see Jason proper, potato sack Jason, or sackhead Jason, makes his debut as the killer, avenging supposedly his mom, taking out Alice in the first part of the movie, the final girl from the first movie. Of course, Amy Steele coming on as the final girl in Part 2. And then taking out Jason at the end with some good psychology work. Great movie. Part 2 was amazing. Amazing movie. So Part 2 is my next one. Getting into my top 3, I know this is going to be a very probably unpopular opinion, but I got the Friday the 13th 09. I know this is commonly referred to as a remake. I personally see it more as a reimagining, so to speak, or a reintroduction to the character. Anybody who's familiar with the movie knows basically they pulled elements from the first 4 movies and created this movie. Of course, I have from the Shout Factory. Then, of course, I also have the 4K Arrow Video release of 09. Jason's more of a survivalist in this movie. He's more of he's still a protector of his home, Camp Crystal Lake, but he's also more proactive about it. It explains a lot of things that were sort of mystical or supernatural about the character in the original movies, and lended more of a real world explanation to those in the 09 movie. So 09 is one of my favorites. It's in my top 3. Next is going to be my number 2 one, and that's going to be, of course, the original Friday the 13th, 1980 Part 1. Of course, we all know that Mrs. Voorhees, Jason's mother, was the killer from Part 1. Miss Palmer set the stage. 1980 set the stage for what would have been a franchise that we're still talking about in 2025. I actually wanted to do this video yesterday, but I went to one of our local theaters and was watching they were doing a showing of the original 1980 Friday the 13th, so that's why I'm getting to this video a little bit late. And then I also have a copy of that on DVD as well. And then, if you've been keeping up with anything, you know there's only one movie left, and that, of course, is my favorite, personally my favorite, Friday the 13th, and that is Jason Lives. Friday the 13th, Jason Lives, written and directed by Tom McLaughlin, with Tom Matthews returning as Tommy Jarvis, and of course introducing CJ Graham as Jason. CJ, I've met him a couple of times, great guy. I've met Tom Matthews, I've met Tommy McLaughlin, and as well as Darcy DeMoss, another one of the girls from the movie who was actually turned back up in some fan films from the franchise, or from the Friday the 13th universe. But Jason Lives, great movie. I'm a little biased. I actually was able to do a Q&A with Darcy and Tom at a Comic-Con a few years ago, where we did a screening of Jason Lives. So was able to do a little bit of research on it, more so than the other movies. So I may be a little biased with this, but as far as any of the movies to sit down and watch over and over again, Jason Lives is going to be my my number one pick. It's my favorite out of the franchise. Do you agree with my ranking? What's your ranking? What's your favorite Friday the 13th movie? Did you do anything yesterday on Friday the 13th? Did you watch any of the movies? Did you do a marathon? Did you check out a screening somewhere? Let me know down in the comments. Give me a like, give me a share, give me a subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks.